Syrians around the world took to the streets after insurgents managed to oust a regime which controlled Syria with an iron grip for over 50 years in just a matter of days. Bashar al-Assad's regime has been overthrown, signaling the end of his family's rule of the country and sending reverberations across the Middle East and beyond. Despite vowing to crush rebels just a week ago, Assad has fled to Russia after rebels took over the capital, Damascus. But what happens to Syria now? What will the consequences be for Syrians, and who has stakes in the unfolding situation? As he left the country, Assad, who ruled Syria for 24 years, gave orders for a peaceful transition of power. But who exactly will that power be handed to? Vacuums of power in the Middle East have notoriously allowed for extremist groups to rapidly expand, as ISIS did in previous years from northeastern Syria. Indeed, President Biden hailed this as a moment of historic opportunity, but also a moment of risk and uncertainty. The offensive which toppled Assad was led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, an Islamist group with roots in al-Qaeda. The group, formerly known as Nusra Front, is listed as a terrorist organization in the UK, US, and EU. However, after cutting ties with al-Qaeda, the group has made an effort to appear more moderate. HTS leader Abu Muhammad al-Julani has become the most recognizable face of the Syrian opposition. Declaring victory against President Assad, Julani said Syria is being purified and instructed his fighters that weapons are no longer needed. He may well be in the running to take power. However, Julani will have competition for influence in the new Syria, especially amongst the factions that fought alongside his HTS in the offensive. The struggle for power could result in internal fractures between the various groups. Stability in Syria could be put into serious jeopardy if fissures in the movement worsen. Talks on the transfer of power have begun, with Julani vowing to pursue former officials responsible for torture and alleged war crimes. The opposition have given reassurance that power will be transferred peacefully, and have let Assad's prime minister supervise state bodies in the meantime. The coming days and weeks will be pivotal to how Syria is run in years to come. So how could this fragile state of affairs affect the key stakeholders? Jubilant crowds in Syria celebrated, waving opposition flags and toppling statues of the Assad family. For many, the toppling of the government signifies liberation from authoritarian and oppressive rule. Many will hope this ends a decade of civil war which has left over 300,000 people dead and forced an astounding 12 million Syrians to flee their homes. Videos show fleets of cars reportedly heading back to Syria. Celebrations, however, may soon turn to fear for minority groups in Syria like Christians, the Kurds, Alawites, and the Druze. For these minorities, the prospect of persecution by groups like HTS with Islamist leanings is very real, despite reassurances from the HTS to protect minorities in the past. The next government will need to address the question of Russian presence in Syria. Previously, Assad's most loyal ally, the Kremlin, controls several key strategic facilities in Syria, including the Tartus naval base on Syria's Mediterranean coast. Russia's foreign ministry has said it's in touch with the opposition factions and has said there are no threats to their bases in Syria. Russia will certainly remain a key stakeholder in Syria, but as Assad's collapse has shown, their influence and power is severely limited, with the war effort in Ukraine its main priority. Syria has previously acted as a key part of Iran's supply chain supporting Hezbollah in Lebanon, but things could drastically change for Tehran with the fall of a key ally. Turkey has exerted influence by supporting armed groups, particularly the Syrian National Army. Ankara says it would not accept Kurdish militant groups benefiting from the fallout, attacking US-backed Kurdish forces in recent days. Meanwhile, Israel has already started bombing and occupying some territory in Syria for the first time since 1973. Israeli officials have said they targeted chemical weapon sites and missiles to prevent them falling into extremist hands. In a move to stop ISIS reconstituting, the US launched 75 strikes against ISIS targets in Syria. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said he was very pleased that the brutal regime had fallen, and like his American counterpart Joe Biden, says he will support a peaceful way forward.
This is an opportunity for Syria, and therefore we have to work to make sure that it's a peaceful opportunity.
However, incoming US President Donald Trump looked less likely to offer his support, writing, "This is not our fight," on X. The fall of Assad has removed a bastion from which Iran and Russia exercised influence across the Arab world. But now a space of opportunity and danger has opened up. Surrounded by a region shaken by conflict and turmoil, the next few days and weeks could shape the future of a country which has been crippled by a struggle for power and an authoritarian grip.